What is going on, traders? Welcome back to the Traveling Trader. A lot to get into today. We're going to be talking about the top stocks to buy for June 2021 and everything that goes along with it. There are some really important dates that we have to watch out for in June. I told you that April was the best month historically for trading, and we would likely see that replicated in 2021. And we did. April so far was the best month if you look at the indexes for 2021. May was a rather weak and choppy month as we expected. However, the rotation continues. As I said, this is not a risk-on environment. It was time to start rotating months ago out of risky stocks and penny stocks, which I did enjoy trading a lot, into more growth and value stocks. So as I said, a lot to get into. Everything will be included in the chapters below, so feel free to skip to whichever section you want, although you'll get the most benefit if you watch the whole video. I'm going to be going over the announcements and the dates, really important stuff for June. We're talking about non-farm payroll. We're talking about CPI, which is the inflation index. I'm going to be giving you guys an update on the stocks that we all picked in May. And all things considered, even though May was a slow month, there was still some home runs. Ford, for instance, was our potentially the best performer of May. That, along with one of the few penny stocks that we're trading right now, which is CES and Bio, waiting on FDA approval. So I'll be giving you an update on that, and then I'll be going into my top stock picks for June 2021. You definitely don't want to miss it. If you get anything out of this video, leave it a big fat thumbs up just like this. Leave it in the comment section below. Let me know which of these stocks you're trading. And if you want access to our wonderful trading group, link is in the description below, where we have thousands of members. We do weekly live streams. We give each other trade ideas. There's obviously the trade alerts that are sent by me for stocks, crypto, options, even futures. It is jam-packed, full of value. And if you don't join, I appreciate your viewership nonetheless. Let us get right into it. So the non-farm payrolls, when do those come out? Those come out on the first Friday of every month at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And this week, from the time that you're watching this video, will coincide with the first Friday of June. So look out for that. What we are looking for are the jobs numbers. We want to see if there is a significant curb in unemployment. This is really the first major announcement of June that could really set the tone for the rest of June. June could also be a choppy month. Now, July tends to be a good month because there's a lot of exuberance around July 4th, and that probably coincides with a full reopening of the country after the pandemic. So it would not surprise me if June was a choppy month. However, all will hinge on this and the next announcement that I'm going to be talking about, which is the CPI on June 10th. So the next CPI numbers for May are coming out June 10th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. You definitely want to watch out for this. As you could see, the last set of data here, the price of everything went up. The price of all items were up 4.2%. Food was up 2.4%. Energy, which really benefited our XLE position and some of the other energy stocks that I will be talking about, because there are some energy stocks in the top stocks for June 2021. Energy up 25.1%. All items less food and energy up 3%. So you could see that the numbers all across the board have gone up. And if June 10th we see the numbers for May show an even higher increase, then it's going to be hard for Jay Powell to argue that inflation is just transitory, and likely the Fed might have to at least talk about making moves, which could send the markets either rallying or could send them tumbling. All right, so let's get into an update of the plays. You guys always ask for this, and I always forget about it, but I'm trying to be better at respecting your guys' desires and your guys' wishes. So keep requesting things from me, and I will do it if you guys get value out of it. So here are some of the plays that we did in May. And I said, even though May was a slow month from an index perspective, we actually knocked it out of the park with some plays. So the main two that I think were the biggest winners for us in May, not from an option standpoint, but just from a stock standpoint, was Ford. Ford was up almost 31% for the month of May. I said that it was a great value buy at the 100-day moving average, and you need to look past NIO and Tesla if you're looking for value, because right now, in terms of undervalued, sitting at $10 or $11, Ford was the most undervalued car company on the stock market in my view. And luckily, May actually panned that out for us. Now, I'm not saying that Tesla or NIO aren't great holds, don't get me wrong. I'm talking about value, meaning what is undervalued currently and doesn't have a lot of enthusiasm and expectations priced in the way that NIO and Tesla do. Now, another stock from the video I did on May 5th was Peloton. Peloton fell to the 300-day moving average after earnings, which was an earnings overreaction. But then you couple that with the fact that there were some accidents reported on their treadmills, and they said they were recalling all the treadmills. So I wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. We were able to grab Peloton at almost $80, which was insane. Currently trading at around $109. Oh, how could I forget? I mentioned Sesson and Ford being two of the best winners for May, but I'm totally forgetting about AMC because I've done videos about AMC from the perspective of it being a meme stock and how to trade the momentum that we are currently seeing on AMC. However, I did include it in my May 5th video. Go back and watch it. I do believe that AMC, it has dropped 25% or 24% in the last week or so. And I think that any good news will propel this stock further up because people are expecting it to report negative earnings as well as a lack of moviegoers watching movies at the theater. So I believe this is a situation where any amount of good news will propel this stock further. Plus, it is also a Wall Street bets darling. And you could see that it still has a high short interest, so there could be a short squeeze at play here as well. If you bought it at $9, you're currently up 256%. Unreal. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I held on from $9 to $32. I did sell it after we broke out of this ascending triangle here. I thought we'd see a retracement, and the next day we did actually have a slightly red day. Happy to take my profits with a trailing stop loss. That is fine. We also did buy the $40 calls on AMC, but how could I forget about AMC in terms of the stocks that actually killed it in May? And last one I'll talk about is Bumble, because Bumble was, to me, a steal. I was waiting to get in on Bumble, and every time it looked like it was going to find support, it tanked. And I was actually lucky that I didn't buy it here because I almost pulled the trigger on Bumble at around the $50 range. Of course, it IPO'd in the $70, what was it, $74, $75 it opened at. I think it was a direct listing, actually. However, I almost bought it in the $50 range, and then it started tanking some more. So thankfully, I didn't. But after I saw the MACD turn positive, and it looked like it was forming a rounding bottom here, not only did I buy Bumble, but we also bought a shit ton of calls on Bumble that went absolutely nuts. We bought the $50 June calls, the $50 July calls, and the $80 October calls, made hundreds of percentage points on each one of those. Again, all of these trades are in the group, so if you want access to it, we'd love to welcome you. And a few trades that didn't go so well. Sunrun, I talked about, what was that? May 3rd, I talked about Sunrun, and it basically is exactly where it was at May 3rd. So not much change there. And SunPower, I think that the market is definitely cooling on solar stocks. I think that the momentum isn't there, and I think there needs to be a little more of a growth story there with solar stocks. SunPower was another one that just stayed exactly the same. But yeah, we had Tilray, Sundial, AMD, Palantir, Alta, and Sesson. So let us get into the top stocks for June 2021. Hopefully that rundown was helpful for those of you that have asked me for an update on the previous month stocks. All right, so there are a few narratives upcoming for the rest of 2021. One of them is the focus on cannabis stocks. As I said, the government can't focus on everything at once. Right now, they are focusing on the reopening. There's also the infrastructure bill that's waiting to get signed, but there will be a refocus on cannabis eventually. It will eventually get legalized. You have to be hiding under a rock not to think so. And that is why we bought High Tide, Sundial, and Tilray. Made a great amount of money on each of those. High Tide actually boomed today, up almost 8% in one single day, gapped up. This one is actually being listed on NASDAQ tomorrow at the time of this recording. Sundial still trading at $1. Sundial does have a lot of upside, although a lot more risky than some of the more stable cannabis stocks like Tilray. So in my view, there is still an opportunity with cannabis stocks, even though they have run up quite a bit off the 200 moving average, but I would focus on Tilray, Sundial for a more risky play. And I think High Tide has run up quite a bit. There is maybe a little more upside to get it past $10, But if you're not in high tide yet, you will most likely want to wait for a retracement before jumping in. As I said, it is being listed on the NASDAQ this week. All right, the next narrative that is likely going to play out for June 2021 and beyond is oil. Even though oil has really been playing out for, I don't know, almost 6 or 7 months now, XLE has been one of our best gradually performing positions, and we recently sold out of our XLE position. However, there is still some opportunity with oil. As you see here, a new story came out today that oil jumps to 2-year high as OPEC Plus confirms gradual production increase, and said that if there is a deal with Iran, that Iranian oil is not going to dilute the market. I don't know how they figure that. Either way, if you're a fan of this channel, you know how big I am on some of the smaller oil producers. So FANG, which is Diamondback Energy, up 6% today. Oxy up almost 7% today, and MRO, which I love, which is Marathon Oil, is up 10%. However, Marathon Oil and FANG don't look like there is a lot of opportunity from a charting perspective because they do look exhausted. Now, where there is opportunity, and this is one of the stocks for June 2021, is Occidental Petroleum Corporation. Occidental currently trading at around $28.47. Almost up 10% today, actually. Did I say 6 or 7 before? Looking at the chart, it's almost up 10%. Now, there is a lot of upside because right before the pandemic, Oxy was trading at almost $43 a share. So this represents an upside of almost 50%. And by the way, all these positions are long-term. These are not swing trades. Please don't stumble across this video. Think that you could just buy in at any price and get rich the next week. These are not swing trades. These are long-term holds. And I'm providing you with either value stocks or growth stocks that currently have some room to run and a lot of potential compared to their price. All right, we talked about cannabis. We talked about energy. The next set of stocks that I think will benefit in June 2021. We can't talk about June 2021 without talking about the infrastructure bill. I did a whole video on this, but there is a $6 trillion infrastructure bill that is currently in the works, bouncing back and forth between the politicians, looking for a quick signature so that the work can get started and contracts can be awarded, etc. Whether it ends up being $6 trillion or not, who knows? Anyway, there are stocks that will likely benefit from this, and we have a nice selection of stocks here with a lot of potential. The first one being United States Steel Corporation. We actually bought calls on this, and it is currently up 3% today. But we bought calls on X, the ticker symbol's X, United States Steel Corporation. This is a stock that has impressive growth potential from an EBITDA perspective and also scores well from a value perspective. It's EV to sales, it's EV to EBITDA, it's price to sales, it's price to book. All look really impressive. You see the MACD turning bullish on the chart, and there's also some bullish divergence here. This is called hidden bullish divergence between the price, the MACD, as well as the RSI. So from a technical and fundamental perspective, there is reason to get into this stock. Another potential infrastructure winner is LAC, or Lithium Americas Corporation. This is a nice pickup here at the 200-day moving average. It bounced off a little bit, so it's a little bit higher than that. However, it is still undervalued compared to where it was before. This was trading at almost $30, currently trading at $15.70. There was a little bit of overreaction in the earnings previous to the last one when it missed EPS by 2 cents. However, it did beat EPS in the last earnings by 1 cent. It received a bunch of buy price targets, and it is planning expansion into Argentina. Lithium is basically essential for almost every project going on right now, whether we're talking about defense, whether we're talking about semiconductors, whether we're talking about EV batteries, whether we're talking about infrastructure, etc. Currently, LAC's forward growth rate is growing at 110% compared to a sector median of 5%. So beating the sector by almost 2,000% on a median level. Okay, another stock that will likely benefit from the infrastructure bill is ChargePoint. And ChargePoint here, I do like to dollar cost average into it. If you know how to swing trade, if you know how to read a chart, then there is actually a viable swing trade here, because it is following this wonky pattern where it establishes support and resistance often. Now, this looks like a descending wedge, which eventually tends to break to the upside. But like I said, we're not talking about swing trades here. You can continue to dollar cost average into ChargePoint, but there's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars set aside for ramping up charging infrastructure throughout the US from a commercial and residential standpoint. All right, so those were the stocks as it relates to infrastructure. Now let us jump into the retail sector. So looking at Coty. Coty is a makeup company that currently trades at a little bit of a discount compared to where it was before the pandemic. Now, we did play Ulta. As I said, we sold Ulta just a few days ago after it hit all-time highs. Started taking profits on that and jumped into Coty. We actually bought calls on Coty, but there's about a 30% upside. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, by the way. So apologies to those who use this brand. Is it Coty? I don't know. Coty. Let's just say Coty. But there is potentially a 30% upside to get back to pre-pandemic highs. You could see the MACD currently turning bullish. You could see the histogram just turning green. If you guys are a fan of this channel, you know that I also love to look at options data because it kind of gives us a gauge for what the market is expecting. And you could see that there is a bunch of long buildup here on Coty, with open interest for June being relatively high compared to what it normally trades at, 17,320 open contracts for June 18th. And if you go out to January 2022, these are leaps. You could see how much volume these calls are doing for Coty. So the sympathy play with Ulta, the fact that the market is pricing in a big move for Coty coming in the next 7 to 8 months, and looking at the chart, seeing that there's 30% upside just to get back to where it was pre-pandemic, I really like this brand here as a retail play. All right, 2 more stocks on the list. Apps, Digital Turbine. We bought calls on Digital Turbine right before earnings, and it actually crushed earnings today. There is an upside to around $90 where it was just trading at a few weeks ago. So right now, as I said, it was up after hours, but let's just take this price here. There's about a 40% upside to get back to just where it was. You could see the MACD turning bullish. As I said, they crushed earnings. I was also corroborating this with option order flow data. What I'm using here, by the way, if you guys are wondering, is Market Chameleon. I love the way the presentation looks when looking for volume and open interest. If you want to sign up for Market Chameleon, there will be a link. I can't remember exactly what it gets you, but you will get some sort of discount if you use that link in the description. But I never leave home without it. I really like this application for looking at options data. You certainly don't need it. You can get it if you have Thinkorswim. You can get that information easily, but I love the way that it's presented in Market Chameleon. However, I saw this $2.5 million of notional value for bullish calls on apps, and along with the fundamental and the technical analysis that I just showed you, that gave me confirmation that it was a good trade. However, I do think that the stock itself, especially after bouncing off the 200-day moving average, is at a good discount here. And last one is none other than Apple. Apple is sitting at the 200-day moving average. It received a very rare downgrade. Now, this does look like a potential small head and shoulders here, so we could see Apple actually fall some more to around the 115 range. I will tell you one thing with Apple, though, that this year, once they announce that the Apple Car, once they announce the plans of the Apple Car, this stock is going to likely fly, and there will be a lot of FOMO buyers jumping on board. So if you have not yet established a position in Apple, then do so at a discount. This stock is currently trading at 124, was trading at almost 145 just a few months ago. So you are getting a nice juicy discount on Apple. I do think dollar cost averaging here is probably best. You don't have to rush things. There is a 15% discount currently on Apple, but I do think, like I said, there is a chance that we get to that 115, 110 level even, especially with the small head and shoulders forming. And there not being much momentum from now until the next major announcement, but they will, whatever updates they make regarding the Apple Car or whatever updates they send, will be a surprise to the market, and the stock will likely shoot up, and you will see a bunch of FOMO buyers trying to jump in. You know, it's crazy. There's an earnings play that we had on JD.com. We were playing this earnings here, and it ended up breaking out of this channel. Anyway, there's a chance that we get 1,700% on this options play here. If you want more details about it, check it out in the Discord community. And if you want to learn how to trade options, I did a whole course on options, starting from what is an option, ending with some of these more complex strategies that we talk about, whether they're iron condors or vertical spreads or diagonals, where you can actually play any direction in the market. And options allow you to gain exponentially compared to what you would usually get just from trying to buy and sell stocks. So if you're interested in it, check out the link in the description for the options course. Oh, and one last thing. A lot of you ask me, what is this join button here? This is just to support the channel. This is through YouTube. However, I do like to give back to folks that do support the channel. So what I do end up giving you is the watch list that I send out to the Discord community every Sunday night. And I will also give you the link to the live stream that I do, the Discord only live stream. So there's the live streams that I do on YouTube, but I live stream internally with the Discord members a lot more often than I do on YouTube. As I said, I like to provide as much value as possible. So for those of you that support the channel, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys make it possible to do what we do and put in all of these hours on these videos and the trade alerts and whatnot. Anyway, traders, that is it for this video. Leave it in the comment section below. Let me know if there's one of these stocks that you are trading or if there's a stock that I missed. I would love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, hit that thumbs up. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.